Hi. Multiple times on socials last year, I was saying shit like, dude, 2024 has gotta be like one of the best years for music ever. Yeah, I think 2025 might beat it. There was so much good fucking music this year, dude. You don't even know. I mean, you're about to know because I'm about to tell you, but you don't even know right now. I say stop wasting your time. Let's just fucking go into it. I am so happy that the people who grew up terminally online like myself are reaching the age of maturity where they can make beautifully nuanced art about it. And so far, Ninajirachi's done it best. All 12 tracks are essentially love letters to the late thousands era of the internet when we were all just doing stupid shit and connecting in new ways across the cybernetic ether before big tech algorithms ruined it. You got tracks like Delete, which is about posting odd things you normally wouldn't in the hope someone you're into notices, or London Song talking about having a pseudo vacation by using Google Earth to go to London. I don't know why you would choose to go to the UK, but you do you. Or Info Hazard talking about how easy it was to accidentally stumble across shock sites and getting scarred for life. The internet has fucked us up in a myriad of ways. We're shown examples of it daily at this point, but there's no denying the magic of the honeymoon period we experienced with it. And there's also no denying the positive impacts that global connection has had as well. Technology and the internet had a huge impact on me growing up, and even if it's detriments, I'm not sure I would have had any other way. An art like this reminds me what made it so special. There's the TV, I found it. If you relate to these vibes literally at all, or are just down to hear some sick-ass EDM with a twinge of nostalgia, easy win. Okay, we're almost halfway through. Hopefully the video file will not explode my computer, because I love my computer. Get it? I see you, Nina. I already did a whole video on this. I've been an Eden fan for ever, I think. Like a lot of terminally online EDM nerds in my age demographic, I discovered him through the Eden Project over a decade ago and followed him through his journey, leaning more into indie tronica stuff and synth pop stylings. The latter saw a bit of an unfortunate fall off as he was evidently experimenting more than I think contemporary fans were used to. What in the Fantano-ass bullshit was that sentence? Friendly reminder, I am not a music critic. However, if you've previously fallen off the Eden train, this is your sign to jump back on because, oh my god, my sentimental love still lies in Vertigo or I Think You Think Too Much of Me as my favorite Eden albums. But I wouldn't hesitate to say that this is the best album he's made in terms of quality. It genuinely feels like he brought back what made me love his music back in 2015 and 2016 in the first place, but simultaneously modernizing and refreshing the aesthetics in a way where it doesn't feel clunky. The lyrics are as poignant and striking as ever, and he's finally found a relationship with autotune that doesn't feel overly forced or like it isn't driven with artistic intent. Also, this is the deluxe version of the album specifically, which honestly raises the album up from great to almost perfect, featuring tracks that have been teased for years as well as some of Ian's most vulnerable and slashing lyrics to date. It's not the most cohesive or thematic album he's ever made, but life is rarely cohesive or thematic in itself, and that's an energy he's really channeling here. Now, some of you may think that adding a remaster of an album that's 20 years old to a 2025 album list is cheating, and to that, I say, if you don't know who Imogen Heap is, you've at least heard her come up in a lot more contemporary pop and hip-hop music. As well as some more modern beats. I can guarantee you that a majority of her work that these artists use and sample come from this album. Speak for Yourself came out in 2005, and its influence on so much of the modern music landscape can't be overstated. So when I heard the full album was getting a full remaster for the 20th anniversary, I was just like, neuron activation! And let me tell you, listening to these songs back in higher quality than was the standard of 2005 internet is really good. Headlock tickles my brain, Hide and Seek is as beautiful as ever, Closing In feels very epic, Daylight Robbery makes you want to break shit cutely. It's such a lovely time capsule to see an absolute classic and influential record brought up to 2025 standards of audio production that really allows you to appreciate all the little things Imogen put into this record that might be lost on older hardware and compression algorithms. Even if you don't care for her stylings, it's still worth checking out to get a glimpse into what made up quite a musical culture that's still around today. She be yawning on my portal till I anywhere. Unlike the 2024 video, I wanted to wait until at least late November before I finished selecting all the albums and writing my little blurbs about them. And I'm glad I did, because this came out in late November and holy shit, I need this on vinyl right now. This album is an hour of pure magic. That's it. Magic. I can safely say that I could never predict where this album was going at any moment. 1 second it's the most atmospheric ambience, and then it goes into a chill trap beat with acoustic guitars, and then into a beautiful piano ballad, then into an R&B beat, then into some girly pop shit, then into what feels like a song cut from Porter Robinson's Worlds. It's fucking crazy! And the genre switch-ups aren't there for lack of artistic intent or ability. Far from it. The singer's voice is amazing whenever she appears. Every track is phenomenally easy to sink into and immerse yourself in. Nothing ever feels forced. It just feels like a record trying to tell you a story using a multitude of sounds and methods to get it across. Also, look at this album art. Isn't that sick as fuck? The abnormally dark road under a gold color sky looking like it's tearing at the seams of a blinding light in the dead center of the road. This is my aesthetic. On God. I don't know, maybe other people aren't as weird as me and won't be as drawn to this as I am, but if you can match my aesthetic freak, this is here waiting for you with open arms. I first listened to this album as part of a 5-hour flight where I figured I would listen to a bunch of shit I hadn't gotten around to yet. And afterwards, I am thoroughly convinced that that is the ideal way to experience this record. Probable Consoles is someone who I've had a loose interest in for years now. His IDM stylings have always drawn me in but never quite stuck. That is, until this record. Listening to this album with good headphones feels like drifting through the goddamn cosmos. The ambience effortlessly getting you to visualize it without much thought. The album will flip between ambience and deep house on a dime, but it always feels natural. The production and songwriting are relatively simple, but it doesn't need to be complex. The sound design alone is mind-expanding enough as it is. My advice, put this on, lay down somewhere, vibe the fuck out. Your ear holes will thank you. This will mean literally nothing to anyone that isn't also a fan of the Midnight, but this is like if the Nocturnal EP had the level of experimentation that Monsters did. So in other words, it's basically perfect. After an unfortunately rather mid-2022 release, I waited patiently for my synthwave goats to finally come back with milk that wasn't spoiled. Despite no longer being independent artists, I'm happy to say that they have what it takes to keep making bangers. A lot of the album is very cyberpunky and a bit dystopian by design. The vocalist lyrics are as vividly potent as ever. A lot of this album is the typical synthwave / outrun aesthetic with enough ear candy sprinkled in to keep it interesting for 2025. Sentinel sees the vocalist doing some weird shit to his voice that feels weird at first, but it fits the vibe wonderfully once you get used to it. Love is an Ocean is a pretty simple EDM house kind of track with a super catchy melody put together by vocal chops. And of course, it wouldn't be the Midnight if there wasn't at least one song where they let the saxophone player just go wild for like 3 minutes. All the singles had me hyped for something absolutely major, and they paid back my patience in kind. If you like synthwave and want something that helps kind of chip away at the mold, definitely hit it up. Sleep Token have proven themselves time and time again to be masters at phasing between genres so seamlessly and effortlessly. So much so that the 2 songs I played in the preview just now were from the same song. That wasn't an editing error, I just did that to fuck with you. Progressive metal is there as a through line, but there's so many stylistic diversions they take between trap, R&B, reggaeton, even swancore at one point. Such an eclectic mix of seemingly random choices that shouldn't work together at all, but do. Surprisingly well. Lyrically, it's as potent as ever, and continues right where their story leaves off. My personal interpretation of the debut album trilogy is finding yourself in a toxic and abusive environment, trying to learn how to survive in it, and then finding a reservoir of strength to break free. So consequently, even in Arcadia feels to me like the recovery process. The musings of someone trying to understand who they are after going through hell and back and discovering the best way for them to move forward. I know this band gets a lot of flack by genre purists and people with bigger neckbeards than mine IRL, but if you're able to remove the suffocating mob mentality of X isn't Y and therefore I hate it from your heads, you'll find some beautiful things in this world. And this album's included in that.
I'm losing my legs, nervous. I'm the guy that always fails me.
I didn't know my neighbors are so good at making music, dude. That's fucked. I've been following your neighbors for years, and it's very difficult for them to miss. The pop rock fusion with the EDM elements and the deceptively depressing lyrics has always been ear candy to me, and it's on full display on American Hedonism. This album is littered with constant appeals to emotional self-destruction in the name of pleasure. The lyrics are constantly about abusing alcohol and narcotics in order to feel something, with the constant comparisons to religion and faith. Even the more openly emotional cuts like Sarah talk about addiction and coping mechanisms as a response to childhood trauma, pretty much as head-on as you can get. It's all here. Everything that comes with the constant chase of trying to feel okay without addressing the root cause of your pain and grief. And on top of that, the music fucks hard as shit. The instrumentals are half unbridled mania and half euphoric beauty. Easily one of my favorite pop rock listens that doesn't just push the envelope, but fucking tears it open and reads that shit. Bad habits, stomach growling, churning for some bad antics, burn the fire. I think it's pronounced Maruja, but I also could be very wrong. Whoops. Someone threw a saxophonist into Rage Against the Machine and called it a day. You haven't lived until you heard a dude for the UK yell at you about how dog shit the government is for an hour. This album is insane. It bounces so quickly and seamlessly between post-rock, jazz, art punk, post-hardcore. It's an absolute marvel to listen to. Not just instrumentally, but the frontman has a fucking awesome voice. Every track feels like a protest anthem in the absolute best sense of the word, and feels like the sort of music that caused the UK cops with the funny hats to go get mad at them like they did with Sex Pistols. Look Down on Us is a fantastic example. It's 9 minutes that feels like a movie to live through. Comes out the gate swinging, gives you a small respite before building you up to the fucking heavens. You know what? I don't think we need government. That's it. That's the review. I've been following Dance Gavin Dance for well over a decade. Their 2015 and 2016 albums really helped me through a lot of my early college experience, and their 2022 album showed the lead vocalist Tillian at his best. Shortly after that came out, though, he left the band. So I was still gathering hype for this album here, but I was wondering what a Dance Gavin Dance record would sound like without Tillian in 2025. After a few listens and a chance to let it grow on me, I was very surprised. Andrew Wells, previously just the guitarist who provided vocals on occasion, does a great job filling in the void left by Tillian. His voice is a tad more generic by comparison, but it complements the music well. And speaking of the music, goddamn! Will Swan is one of the most iconic, trailblazing guitarists on the scene for post-hardcore fans and hipster nerds right now, and it's a title he still retains with this album. The pure technical skill combined with the band's ability to write hooks so catchy to the point they're annoying, and the whole thing is just an hour of ear candy. And if that isn't enough for you, John Mess is still fucking insane. I tend not to be too big on post-hardcore stuff unless it really strikes my fancy in multiple ways, and Dance Gavin Dance has almost never failed to hit the nail on the head for me. This album 100% falls into that category. Good shit. acloudyskye is a straight-up master at making me feel fantastically wistful and domain-expanding my skull, and This Won't Be the Last Time is the latest and greatest example of that. This album sees him locking into the decision to move away from mainly EDM with rock elements and more into straightforward shoegazy kind of rock. And it's crazy to listen to how he did that without losing an ounce of what makes his music so special. It's just dripping with atmosphere through and through, with tracks like Myth and Spill. Basin and Home are both absolute epics. Tracks like Shoots and Bones are so upbeat you can't just help imagining yourself just running through the fields that are on the album cover. I'm hesitant to say that it's my favorite album of his, since Blood Rushing Like Current Through a Power Line would probably still take it. But it's amazing to see acloudyskye evolve his sound in ways that are still unmistakably his. This isn't so much scare the hose music as much as it is make the hose depressed music. Ethel Cain is such a cool and interesting vibe that's really hard to pin down. It's very gothic, kind of Americana, except not deceptive in how dark the subject matter is. Fuck Me Eyes is an almost shoegazy indie-tronica track with beautiful synth melodies overlaying Ethel singing about a girl who is slutty as shit, but the world building is done really well, with Ethel Cain actually jealous of her because titular character Willoughby is romantically infatuated with her in a way the men Miss Fuck Me Eyes is normally with don't see her that. When the fuck did I write this script? What is this grammar? The world building isn't done always through words either. There's a few instrumental tracks here that paint such a vivid picture in your mind. Radio Towers is absolutely beautiful and so easy to sink into. Willoughby's interlude is an epic that doesn't hold back in demanding your undivided attention despite being seemingly simplistic on the surface for over 7 minutes. This album fucks hard. It's stylings I didn't think I would love out of the gate, considering I've never been too big on Americana-style music, but something about her writing and production just really immerses me where a bunch of other similar records don't. Side note, when playing this album back, I listened to the track Nettles once, and since then, I always skip it. It just reeks of super generic, feel-good country music with lyrics not striking enough to make it anything worth drudging through. I knew it would be my least favorite album by a lot, but when I checked online, it was the most popular song by a very wide margin and had the highest ranking on Album of the Year. Maybe I'm missing something, I don't know. But it's not the first time the most listened to track of an artist's catalog ended up being the thing I like the least. I don't know how it keeps happening. I just keep manifesting destiny in the form of being a hipster. Whatever, it's fine. It's fine, we ball.
Just went away.
This album sounds like The Caretaker got into Signal Wave, and if you don't know what either of those mean, congrats for not being terminally online. This is the first Cities of Eve release that I've ever heard, and it definitely won't be the last. Its primary genre is hip-hop, there's a lot of rapping and spoken word segments. Spoken words? But it's also got some genuinely dreamy, static analog instrumentals that sound like old tape recordings from various live performances, mixed and mangled together beyond recognition. Hell is probably the best example, the way that rhythmically cycles between synths and strings and saxophones, all disjointed enough to keep you invested, but still so goddamn smooth. It's constant overdrive, drenched in reverb. It makes for an oxymoronic combo where the soundscapes are simultaneously spacious and suffocating. I didn't mean to alliterate like that. I hope it sounds okay. This project feels like glaring into a nature scene on a CRT TV and seeing it slowly loop back on itself. And if that's your vibe and you're a weird motherfucker like me, this shit good. Aya, in my opinion, is the 2025 poster child for the fact that trans women are just the best at music. This album is just a sonic marvel. The production is noisy and abrasive, and the vocals are essentially just all her screaming at you. But it finally reaches a personal itch that very few records have come close to scratching. 10 tracks on this journey, most of which have very potent and in-your-face lyrics about substance abuse and hookup culture. The lyrics go even deeper than that though, with tracks like I Am the Pipe I Hit Myself With being very clearly about self-sabotage in an effort to find yourself. If you're like me though, you sometimes want to break from the chaos, have a couple tracks with less intensity but get the same kind of point across. If it's all nothing but an abrasive ride through hellfire, you're gonna get bored. And I think Aya recognized that, because she also has some more ambient instrumentals tossed in here. The title track is a slow burn of lightly distorted bass and D2 bells, and track 9 that I forget the name of is a really pretty chord progression played by some synthetic orchestral instruments. Overall, she cooked, she ate, she left no crumbs, did the dishes afterwards, went to bed at a reasonable time without drinking caffeine beforehand, all the things. What the fuck is this? Raiwinnn is someone the gay panda in my phone recommended to me, and I'm so glad that they did. Glitch pop and granular synthesis shit has always scratched an itch for me that other genres rarely do. I've always wondered how artists using these techniques manage to keep their foot on the gas, not giving a shit if you can keep up, while still giving plenty of ear candy to make it an enjoyable ride nonetheless. And this album, very much that. It seldom gives you a chance to sit down and chill out, non-derogatory. It's all over the place, the pure walls of sound always have sufficient variation, taking advantage of all the frequencies to hit you in a myriad of ways. I'm sorry for the artful language, this is how I get when I'm sleepy. Raiwinn's style of production is something I look at and can't help but be mystified by. I'm sure it's something that I can do if I put my mind to it, but I'm glad I don't have to because he's doing it for me. I've always believed that if you don't make something, then someone else will make it, but worse. And I think this is one of the rare instances where it's like, no, he's doing it better.
I just took a DNA test, turns out I'm autistic.
If that preview didn't put on full display why I would consider this one of the best albums of the year, I don't know what to tell you. Synnwave is insane. I first heard about them with their previous mashup album Musical Tangents that was really well produced and also really funny.
All of a sudden, there shined a shiny in the middle.
So when I was told about Musical Transients by a friend, I decided to check it out thinking there'd be some great high quality shitpost moments, and instead I got a stupidly powerful message about the journey to discover who you are is constantly shifting and can feel like climbing a mountain, partly because you want to, but also because you can't stay where you are while still being happy with yourself. And it's about being trans, okay? It's a trans thing. That's not even me doing an analysis. Motherfucker put shots from I saw the TV glow mixed in with Gwen Stefani saying she's just a girl. The final shot is literally Celeste at the top of the mountain. Spoilers on everything. Super amazing theme aside, there are still plenty of wonderfully amazing mashups to experience here. Not a single note in this came from something that didn't already exist, but they masterfully mix all sorts of top 40 classics to tell a story, and if that's not your bag, there's still plenty of shitpost energy. Lizzo saying she's autistic before transitioning to Sonic Adventure 2 gameplay belongs in the Library of Congress. If you're familiar with meme mashups or sound clowns, then I can't recommend this enough, and even if you aren't, it's still worth going in blind and experiencing it at least once. PinkPantheress is amazing. This is the first album of hers that I've actually sat down and listened to front to back properly, and it's awesome! 4 tracks of house and garage, followed by 4 tracks of jungle and drum and bass shit, all of them feeling so nostalgic and PS2 video game coded, while also feeling undeniably fresh. Illegal is great. Apparently it got big on TikTok. I wouldn't know, I haven't opened that app in like a year. Girl Like Me and Tonight are delightfully bouncy, and Stateside blew my goddamn mind the first time I heard it. Romeo was the closest I've ever gotten to feeling straight, which is ironic considering most PinkPantheress fans are fucking gay as shit. Don't get it twisted, nostalgia is not its only merit. PinkPantheress, as well as all the co-producers, did some masterful production here, and her voice is so fucking perfect for the vibes. If you're a sucker for 2000s aesthetics and jungly drums in your pop music, this is a shoo-in. This is pretty much just a victory, provided that TikTok didn't make you sick of it already. Is that the Pink Panther theme? I don't know. It only took 15 years since the last album, but Pendulum came back with the milk. 16 tracks of non-stop rock-adjacent drum and bass for an hour straight, this time with a myriad of collaborators for some additional spice. Including but not limited to AWOL Nation, Bullet for My Valentine, the reanimated corpse of the Beastie Boys. Rob Swire is as sharp as ever here. Bro cannot write a bad hook to save his life. We even see him dabbling in screaming vocals during cuts like Save the Cat. I don't think it's a euphemism, I just think he loves cats. Pendulum has a lot of sentimental value to me. Immersion is intrinsically tied to a lot of my early high school memories. One time I tried to make a YouTube poop with the watercolor music video on my aunt's 2003 iMac. I won't share it, it's not good. I can't say this album made me think about the past much, like with the Rizzle Kicks one, but that's fine. It stands well enough on its own. Pendulum still got what it takes to make the hard-hitting D&B stuff. I'm a very simple man. If I see a genre with neuro in the title, I have no choice but to simp. Mirror was one of those releases where I stumbled across the album art and was like, yeah, no, I need this in my life right now. Sometimes you just understand the vibe perfectly going into a project, and it's even better when it still finds ways to blow you away. The album is almost 2 hours, but it never feels like it's overstaying its welcome. It's got some of the most delicious and crunchy drum and bass rhythms and sound design I've heard in a long time. Each track puts different visuals in your head, and all of them are magical as hell. It's not all off the wall like that, though. We also got slower cuts like Doomed Heart and Hunt. These songs are the closest thing I've heard to someone sounding like Lorne, and if you know who Lorne is, you know that's a really ballsy thing to say. But it's true, motherfucker, I'm standing on business. And at the exact middle point, we have the 10-minute ambient track Third Dream. Third Dream? I want more than 3. If the names Lorne and Cone Sound mean anything to you, I can't recommend this album enough. It's going to scratch an itch that hasn't been scratched in a couple years now, probably. I've been talking so much about scratching itches in this video so far. Maybe I'm just itchy. This motherfucker put a kazoo on a drum and bass track, and I applaud him for it. Fox Stevenson has the contemporary upbeat drum and bass vibe down to a T. He proved it with his debut album Killjoy back in 2019, and he's doing it as great as ever with this album in 2025. Some people online have drawn the comparison that he's kind of like a drum and bass AJR, and while I don't think the comparison is entirely apt, I can see why they make it. It's bright, it's theatrical, it's sometimes dark lyrics masked behind some very theatrical and poppy production. I've always found Fox Stevenson to be a wonderful fusion of that mixed with harder drum and bass qualities. And that just fully on display be more true here. That's what I wrote in the script. I don't know how that happened. It's fun, it's bouncy, it's striking, it's heartfelt when it's needed, and it's absolutely unique to Fox Stevenson himself. Everything just coalesces in a way that makes perfect sense to the ear holes. Me and the bad bitch I pulled by having a mental illness. So Cynthoni, formerly Sewer Slut, released Draining Love Story back in 2020. It's a seminal album that had a huge influence on drum and bass and adjacent genres, with songs like New Love and Mr. Kill Myself becoming synonymous with the online space. Looking back on it, despite me still loving it, there's no denying that it's rough around the edges and relies more on samples than I personally think is good. So 5 years on, after refining their production skills and going through a lot of personal growth, they decided to remake it from the ground up. Now normally I hate the concept of remakes because, you know, why would you fuck with the classics? You don't recreate the Mona Lisa every few years just because, like, paintbrushes improve. However, this is a lot more than a remake. I can't get into this motherfucker's head, but you can tell sonically that this album is not only technically higher quality, but coming from a way better headspace. Some tracks are just updates to the sound, while others change up entirely, some of them even sounding significantly happier and more content than their 2020 counterparts. Whether you're just into atmospheric drum and bass or jungle like I am, or if you're interested in hearing what Draining Love Story would sound like by someone who's less crazy, I definitely recommend giving it a shot. Speaking of albums made after someone gets their shit together,
shape up and get them squares about your circle. And all these niggas bosses dance, so you know what's up. Double down in double up. I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a poser. I have very little experience with Danny Brown other than that one song where he extensively talks about eating pussy the entire time.
I'm up on my face, put that pussy on my beard.
I only decided to listen to this album because the feature list was packed with so many artists I like, including Underscores, Frost Children, Femtonal, even Cynthoni has a production credit. So I went into it expecting to only really care for the features and maybe see how Danny Brown interacts with them. That didn't happen, and I love it. From what I can gather, this album has a lot to do with overcoming his substance abuse and his journey to sobriety, and the lyrics are shockingly direct and heartfelt. Yeah, there's a bunch of club bangers throughout, including a track that sounds like penis music, but there's just as many slower and heartfelt ones. Exhibit A, What You See, where he talks about how his past refusing to be faithful and just using women for sex until he found one that made him a better person who he's extremely thankful to. Or the closing track, All For You, where he talks about how it used to feel like music was the only thing that made life worth living for himself, and now that he's found sobriety and happiness, he'll keep doing it for others who need it. This album made it so obvious that I've been sleeping on Danny Brown stuff really hard and how just experimental and envelope pushing it can be. I need to check his back catalog out or I will die. This album is a mix of genres and his very distinct delivery that I didn't predict would work as well as it does, so I definitely recommend it. Side note, I forgot he wrote that song about eating pussy, so when I saw him live in Toronto and he started rapping it, it just straight up stun locked me.
Happy to be wrong, but I'm so far right that it's actually racist. Ay.
This is Rizzlekick's third album, and the first one in 12 years. A lot has changed in that amount of time. I graduated high school, I got a degree, I met my fiance, I became what I swore to destroy, you know, all the regular things. And while this record didn't teleport me back to high school life, thank God, it does feel like reconnecting with an old friend and getting to do some catching up. Competition is for losers, didn't get any real viral hits like their previous two albums, but I don't think it needed to. They've already shown that they have what it takes to make absolute bangers, and now they're just having fun with the craft. Javelin and New Sport are undeniably swanky, Vice and Undefeated are nice revisits of their old stylings and Roaring 20s. As soon as I heard
This summer I might be in slap mode.
I just knew I was in for a good time. Overall, the tracks hit the balance pretty well between sticking to their roots of what got them viral success when I was a lot younger and modernizing it for today. It's been almost a decade since we had heard anything new from them, and I'm grateful that they both has what it would to make it worth the wait. I've only been talking to a camera for literally my entire life. It's fine.
Just over the hill, get the rifle out. If you see their eyes, you shoot to kill. Getting hard to imagine, expanding a thought when it's not in a breathing space. Ask what happened, crunch all the numbers, does it make sense? No.
Clipping is probably the only music act where I could hear them start rapping over a dial-up modem and think, yeah, that's the most normal part of this. I can say with 100% certainty that Dead Channel Sky is my album of the year. I was actually going to make a video devoted to it, but then 2025 was hard. It's a hip-hop album with lyrics devoted entirely to the techno-feudalist political landscape we're finding ourselves shoved into rapidly. Ultra-fast advancements in technology have fundamentally altered the way everyone connects with each other in this universe, resulting in a dystopian cyberpunk reality where people are used to the mass surveillance and big tech companies ruling over everything in their lives. Similar to Clipping's last albums, a lot of the tracks are stories about people trying to make a living outside of the law, the difference being the retro-futurist angles such as Dodger, where some government lackey gets inspired by someone's ability to hack into their system and disrupt it, leading to her wanting to join him on his mission. There's tracks like Polaroids, a reflection on olden times in the form of old photographs, the narrator reflecting on them before throwing them in a fire, realizing too much has changed to get the past back. Welcome Home Warrior is an ode to a game where you can play as a knight saving a village by slaying a dragon and getting endless praise as a way to escape the soul-sucking monotony of everyday life, only for it to be revealed that it's a gacha game also intent on sucking your soul out of you. I know I gushed so much about this album, you're probably sick of it and feel like you got everything about it, but you haven't. This is the 2025 album. It encapsulates everything I hate about both the present reality and the future it's promising us. Even if you're not a fan of rap music or noisy electronics, give this a chance. It'll certainly speak to you the way it did to me. Oh, fuck, you're back. How was the video? I hope you enjoyed it. Did you just skip to the albums you already heard so I could validate your opinion for you? Don't worry if you did. I do that shit all the time. If you did do that, though, I want you to just pick like one random album from the list that you haven't heard before and try it out. You don't have to go back to the corresponding part of the video. I don't give a shit, but you know, it's good to try new things. That was actually something I wanted to do this year. The 2024 albums video, I felt like had a lot of this like static stuff by a lot of artists that I already knew I would like the releases of. There were a few artists on here that it was my first time listening to them, and there were also a few releases from artists that I love who weren't on this list. Life is always in flux, you know how it is, shit changes, you don't necessarily have to go out of your way to try to get with the times, but as easy as it is for me to have the same 5 artists on loop at any given time, I don't want to fall into that much of a static pattern, you know what I mean? I like expanding my horizons a bit, trying new things, because if you aren't trying new things and trying everything that the world has to offer, what are you doing? Change can be scary sometimes. I know that very well, but sometimes when you go through stuff and you look back, it's like you haven't changed at all. Like you're still the same you. And I know myself personally, I know it's just... What the fuck?